Okay.
Hi guys, today I have the big honor of having with me here Moon. Moon is a coach, but we talk a lot about a lot of things. And Moon, thank you for being here with me. And as we were talking before, hitting the record button, something that maybe you and I kind of pursue, which is kind of this pursuit of truth, of what's ultimate satisfaction in life and performance. And now I work with a lot of things regarding the metaverse. And people confound technology with work and drag, but it's not about it, and we know it's not about. So what's your take on performance, or from whatever angle you want?
That's a really good question. And thank you for having me. It's an honor to have this conversation with you. I think performers, in the true definition, is basically, to me, is giving the world what you have, right? So for example, if you look at an athlete perform because that's what they do. Their talents lies in specific physical movement, runner, basketballs, baseball. So when they perform to the level that they can truly get, that's in performance. Mm-hmm. When it comes to job, I work with a lot of salespeople and they talk about numbers a lot. Mm-hmm. So they feel like if they achieve the targets, that's a performance. But I would remind them, what is your actual self-actualization? So is hitting the goal your ultimate goal in your life? So when you are, let's say, later in your year, this is one of the exercises I sometimes do, is embodying that outer wiser self and look back in your life. So is your life going to be measured by the numbers that you achieve? Mm-hmm. Is it quantifiable? Is it about the houses you bought? Is it about the car you have owned? What is it? And I think we just talk about this. I think people sometimes confuse with the things outside of themselves and equals that to their self-worth. So we try to measure what we're worth, including our performance, by outside of ourselves. So we want to achieve certain targets, and then we will say, I achieved the targets, so that's my worth. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no, you are worth so much more. You have so much more potential. You can do so much more. And another things we also talk about is validation. When people, they seek things outside of themselves, but they also want the validation to be coming from outside. No wonder there's a lot of dissatisfactions in people's life. People never feel any sense of peace, any sense of ease, because they're always seeking things from outside. So I don't think I've answered your question.
No, you did.
But performance, so in a nutshell, for me, performance is to give what we have without incessantly seeking for validations from outside. But be willing to continue.
And access this energy. You're talking about this. It's an actual physical concept. If you can, I love that you mentioned about athletes, because athletes that won, if you think about, I like swimming. Technically, the guys that are there in the swimming pool, they are no different from a technical perspective. But what is it that makes that guy sometimes fly? Mm-hmm. And it's not out, and everybody talks about the control of the mind. It is something that is it's within. It's not the technicality of it. It's not the technical aspect of it, but it's kind of a curbing the mind and accessing the energies in such a way that you're just not competing anymore. You're not competing, mm-hmm. not even against yourself. You're just letting that energy goes. And when it goes to technology, I see like doing some work with these new technologies, the metaverse, or what have you, and people take this in a wrong perspective. Oh, this is another tool. How can I speculate on that? How can I do? And it goes again. The tool, something like this, should be just a way for you to access that energy and just go beyond without this validation that you mentioned, because there will never be enough validation for you until the day you die, and it is a pure waste of life if you're asking for that. How to break the cycle, or how I don't know, for this one person who is watching this right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think you need to call the Dalai Lama, message the Dalai Lama, like, hey, how do we break this cycle? I don't have the answer for that. I think everybody has their own path. You know, I know it sounds so cliche, but we are on our own journey into something else, you know, and everybody started, you know, from a point, but nobody actually knows. Well, we started from a point and we know what the destination is. The destination is the death of the body.
Exactly.
So the journey, so that's inevitable. We all are born, we all are going to die. But the journey is different. I think it's dangerous to prescribe, you know, a recipe 100%. And tell people like you should do X, Y, Z, and then, you know, you can be enlightened, you can have self-actualization, you know, you can be successful. Even the word success, I really hate this word success. When people are saying things like, I want to be successful and I want to
what does that mean?
What are you actually, what are you actually defining is I want to have money in my bank account and I want to be able to provide financially to my family. And those are very good qualities, but that should not be a definition of success. That's very, very narrow. And that sort of trap yourself into this, you know, like you said, the circles of performing more, getting more, never feeling satisfied, you know, trying to do more and not satisfied. So it's a vicious circle. Success should be measured by various of things, but ultimately, are you happy? You know, are you happy with yourself? Do you have any sort of inner peace? How are you feeling? You know, it's very basic questions. And a lot of people are afraid to ask themselves those kind of questions. Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good. So I guess the first things people can do is just really get to a place where they can ask themselves these questions. It's very basic question.
It is, and all the answers are. That's again, all the answers are within. The thing is, will people access this? And what I feel when like connecting with technology, there's so much information. So the human brain is not able to process that amount of data. That's why I actually have a tool called computer to process the data. But if you start, computers copying people is okay. But when people start to copy computers, which is happening right now, that's complicated because it's not only dangerous, but it's kind of it gets you far from the truth. You know? It gets you into this constant internal conflict, this fear of missing out, this comparison mode that leads to nowhere. So if technology is used to that, why using technology in the first place? Because our ancestors, when they had, and I have something here, I'll show you. When they had this tool, this is a 9,000-year-old Neolithic era. It's from our ancestors. So this and this, same, it's just a tool. This was served to kill some rabbits and or an animal to defend oneself and just feed your family and tribe. Modern days, we can use this to perform and to have meetings from all over the world, access talent. But this human mind constantly gets into this unserious place of, as you said, looking for prescription. Oh, tell me how to. Moon, give me the 3 things that I'm gonna, if I check these 3 points, I'm gonna, and you know, being serious, that's not possible.
Yes.
I don't know. It's an open. I mean, it's an exploration.
No, it's true.
I think
It is
I
not possible.
like this conversation because it's an exploration.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same. I think it's good to have guidelines, because if we don't have, like cooking, right? I love cooking, and it's good to look at the recipe. I never follow the recipe, but I will look at it. I will look at it. Okay, I need to get these ingredients on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I will look through the recipe at least once. If it's very complicated, I will look through it several times, and then I just go ahead and cook. And then I will discover,
which is the most important thing, cooking.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it.
Yes.
I guess, to use that analogy, it's the same in doing business, working with people in the technology sense. I think it's good to have guidelines, but at the same time, we cannot be bogged down into the chattering. We have to just do it. Like you said, we have to try.
Now, and then you mentioned, and maybe we can wrap up with this. I love the example because I cook, and sometimes you look for this very basic recipe, and then you go to YouTube, and then you have these 7 million ways of cooking that same thing. There is no possible way to have 7 million ways of cooking this thing. But then you realize that the unserious prefer just to look for the recipe, just watch. It's like an entertainment. Like if it's in the entertainment by itself, fantastic. But if you're serious about cooking, you can watch, which is I do, and I'm pretty sure that it's the same thing that you do. You watch 3-4 ways of doing the recipe. You see it all, you take notes, but then you close it and then you do it. Because doing is the thing that changes everything. That changes the ingredient, that changes the world, that changes yourself. Right? But most people, I think they stay there in the recipe, watching these 7 million ways of doing whatever. And that's kind of an entertaining the idea of cooking. And I think that's when we talk about performance, it's something like this. No, I entertain the possibility of being an entrepreneur, entertain the possibility of being the great sales guy, or entertain the possibility of being in peace. So entertain the possibility. So no, what is preventing you from accessing that? It's a validation.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, it's always very intriguing and very, very eye-opening to talk to you. And I hope to have more conversation like this with you in the future.
We can have other rounds. Thank you, Moon.
Thank you. Take care.